My name is David G. Fox. I joined in 1975.
Karen DiMatteo, and I joined Rotary in 2009.
Jim Becker, and 2003, I think I joined Rotary.
I'm Chuck Nicholas.
Okay.
I joined Rotary in 1985.
I'm Don Hannig, 1993.
Oh, I'm Frank Herting, a member of the Rotary Club since 1991.
Gary Roberts, 1981.
John Dennis, 1972.
Hello, this is Rick Muchler. I joined Rotary in 2004.
Okay, my name is Ray J. Starner.
My name is Angelo Ortenzi.
My name is John Koba. I joined Rotary 1961.
Kirby Upright. Joined Rotary in 1983.
Clarence Murphy, 1972.
Dick Ludwig joined Rotary in 1992, March thereof.
My name's Jeff Gilbert. I joined Rotary in 1994.
I'm Laura Goss, and I guess I joined in 1993.
Eileen Holder, I joined in 1988. I'm most proud that, first of all, being the first woman, you have to bring that up. In 1994, I became president.
Don's comment about women was always what Buzz Bensinger would always say. That was the best thing Rotary ever did, was letting women in, and he was just, the sweetest person in the world. Yeah.
I don't think of one thing. I just was happy that the club was very large then. We had over 150 members at times. And it was just a great feeling to be able to continue that in my presidency.
I've been on practically every committee in the 60 years I've been in Rotary. For over 25 years, I was on the Pocono Rotary Basketball Tournament Committee, and where we raised money to buy vans for the Cancer Society so that they could transport their patients to treatment centers.
Daffodil Express actually started with Ron Bouchard in maybe 79, 78, whenever he was president. I chaired Daffodil Expresses 2 through, I think, 5. We should all bear in mind that in 81, 82, and for that 15 or 20 year period or more, there was no oncology in Monroe County. So everyone traveled either the Lehigh Valley or the Wyoming Valley. And that was the real value of the Daffodil Express. So when I was asked to do this, I did the math and said, we got like 150 members, and everybody gives us $100. We got $15,000. We're going to buy a van. And I stood up in front of the club and said, everybody give me $100, and they did.
The Daffodil Express. They had the prior van had some sort of graphics on it that said Daffodil Express, and I don't know who had done it and when it was done. When I got involved, I was asked if I could put some graphics on it, which became each new van at that point. I did 4 vans for Rotary, coming up with a new graphic for each van.
Okay.
And then also having to work in the Cancer Society logo and Rotary, and so that everybody who participated in this project was thanked.
Yep. Hi, my name is Jim Matheson. I am a Senior Director for Program Support for the Northeast region of the American Cancer Society. That region runs from Maine to Northern Virginia, and we've had a very amazing and long-standing relationship with the Rotary Club of the Stroudsburgs. They have supported our Road Recovery Program, which is a volunteer-run program where we drive cancer patients back and forth to treatment so they can beat cancer. It's great organization, great group of leaders, great group of business people, and they certainly made a big difference for the American Cancer Society, and more specifically our patients.
Doug Danfelt, who was president later, asked me to chair a spaghetti dinner. 1976 is when it started. I kept being the chairman of that for the next 30 years. Well, the first year we had it at the YMCA in Stroudsburg, And everybody was given 10 tickets to sell or give away. And
Do you remember the cost of those tickets?
yeah, they were $1.50. And so it was quite a disaster because we had husband and wife do all the cooking, but they only had one little stove on the second floor of the YMCA, where they had a very small kitchen. And most of the Rotarians had never worked at dinners or anything like this, didn't know what to do. And we didn't have enough food. We had to send people out to get more food. The people were lined up down the stairs, out to the sidewalk, and all the way down to 8th Street. And, but we got through it finally. We started on a Friday night making the meatballs and getting all the stuff ready. And then on Saturday, we did the cooking after that first year in Stroudsburg YMCA. Then, so every year it got better. The number we served the first year, there must have been like 400 or 500. And throughout the 30-some years, we went from like 400 to 700 people.
Prep for spaghetti dinner was always fun. The evening before with the meatball making and coming in early to prepare the meal and the salads and the desserts. It was just fun. It was just a fun event.
Why it was great, and the reason why the spaghetti dinners were great, is because every Rotarian was involved. For the spaghetti dinner, virtually, I mean, back in the day when we had it for 40 years or whatever, we had everybody volunteering. And originally we would have it was a sit down where people would actually sit down, Rotarians would wait on you, would give you your salad, your spaghetti, your dessert, would replenish your iced tea or whatever it was, would take away your plate from you. I mean, it was a sit down. Now, it was in a cafeteria, but it was still a sit down meal. And it employed every Rotarian. It was the event to be at, not only for people to come and be a part, 500 plus people would be there, but it was the fellowship. And it really gets back to what I think Rotary, a fundamental piece of Rotary is the fellowship piece. And being able to be together and be able to see each other and be able to interrelate with everybody.
Of course, at the end of the night, we all sat down with a plate of spaghetti and took a deep breath and said, I'm glad that's over with.
Hosted 5 Rotary exchange students, 2 from Brazil. They were both boys, a girl from Ecuador, a girl from Mexico, and a boy from France. And they were all great for my kids. My kids were young growing up, so these kids coming into the house were like big brothers, big sisters, and my kids being young really looked up to them.
And the Rotary Exchange, I hosted 2 Rotary Exchange. One, a young lady from Bolivia who wound up being an attorney, and a young French gentleman that I hosted who wound up dating my daughter. And it was just a great program. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, my daughter was a Rotary Exchange student when she was a junior at East Stroudsburg High School. And she went to Mexico, and myself and my family visited her twice and met the families in Mexico, and some of her Mexican brothers came to visit us, and we became quite friendly and everything.
This is Jamie Kaiser, and in 1978, I was an exchange student to Venezuela, sponsored through the Rotary Club of the Stroudsburgs. Little did I know at that time how much that experience would shape who I am today and how much Rotary has been a part of my life since that time.
Ginny had a speaker at Rotary who was a fellow Peace Corps volunteer, David Schweidenbach. And he gave a speech explaining what Pedals for Progress was, how he was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ecuador from 1978 through 1980. he came back, and one of the things he had sort of promised to do was to give him some assistance, and he thought one of the best ways he could do that, or they had mentioned it, was to send down some used bicycles. And so I think he sent down a dozen or so bicycles, and it was received so well by the people in the village that he had been working in as a volunteer. He saw where people who had been limited by a 5-mile radius for work, in other words, where they could walk to and walk back from, essentially 5 miles, and still get a day's work in, they were able to get out to 25 miles, which made an area so much bigger. And then says, you know, this is something that is worthwhile to do, and he started for Pedals for Progress. In 2002, we had the first Rotary-sponsored collection was at Shawnee Playhouse, collecting used bicycles, nothing new, all by donations initially, and then they would get donations of money to help pay for the shipments to the various countries. He started out in Ecuador and Latin America. Certain countries in Latin America wouldn't let them come in because they didn't want them to disrupt the new bicycle market. And then he expanded to Africa and various regions where transportation was a major issue. So Rotary volunteers took the pedals off the bicycles, turned the handlebars, and put the seats down, and took off anything like baskets and stuff so that they could be packed. And then we started in 2005 using the Odd Lot parking lot. The Odd Lot was very good to us. Kenny Shookman was, of course, his dad were, being in Rotary helped us, and they were very accommodating. They allowed us to put up signs over their official signs announcing the bike collection and so on. Then we had our two most successful collections, which were at ESSA new headquarters building. That was in 2006 and 2008. And Jeff Gilbert was responsible for at that point he was working with ESSA. That first collection there, we filled up 2 trucks. So that's close to 200 or more bikes that we had.
Some of the things that I'm most proud of is that I participated in every spaghetti dinner since its beginning in 1976. So I was there at the YMCA. It was one of the hottest days in the world, and people were stacked up, and things we were learning, and we had too many people for the facility. Some of the favorite projects that we did was a spaghetti dinner, always fun. We cleaned up the Rotary Park, which is on Ann Street, pretty much across from the willow tree. And that was a real jungle. There was lots of poison ivy, and a lot of the members ended up with poison ivy and scratches.
Favorite Rotary projects? Well, included that auction. I had a really good time at that. I had participated in several auctions before that, and usually you get to go home with some nice auction winnings. So it was really a very positive experience.
I remember the vocational auction that we used to have. That was really, in my opinion, one of really fantastic thing. You come for an hour and they would raise a huge amount of money. Everybody would bring something that was from their profession, or if they didn't have that, they'd bring a gift basket or something. But we were there for an hour and a half, raised several $1,000s. It was a pretty amazing fundraiser. Joe Castelli would always make something wooden for everybody. It was fun.
And then the Rotary auctions that Holly ran, which were just magnificent. She's put up, and you were on her committee, so you know how much work it was. Those were so well run. They presented such a unique and terrific view of Rotary that people wouldn't ordinarily see, that I thought really deserves a commendation.
Very proud of the vocational auction. Paul Shuckman and I had an opportunity to do a live auction, and he and I are kind of crazy people, and we had a lot of fun with that. I started the yacht race, or the regatta, and that came about. I was in Colorado in the spring, and in Breckenridge, Colorado, there was a stream that runs down through the center of town, and they have a rubber ducky race. And there was a nonprofit charity. So I came back here and sat down with Paul Shuckman, and I said, hey, it's kind of fun. Maybe we ought to have a rubber ducky race. And Paul says, no, we're sophisticated. We want to have a yacht race. So what we did was Paul had these little boats about 2-3 inches long, and we sold tickets for these boats. We held it at the Willow Tree at the McMichaels Creek. We dumped them off the bridge, the 7th Street Bridge, and they floated down, and we had some betting going on. The first 10 boats would be a heat winner, and then we run off the 10 boats, and we had people betting on which of the boats were going to win. And fortunately, that first year we had a good year, and over the years it raised over $100,000 for Rotary.
The proceeds from the regatta going forward would be earmarked for our scholarship fund. And the goal at that time was to build up that scholarship fund to a point where it could be self-supporting, which it is, I'm glad to say, today. I remember working with Dick Ludwig year in, year out to perfect our boat collection system in the stream, which, depending on the flow of the stream, some years it worked great, other years we caught some fish in our net. Other years, all the boats went beyond the net and over the waterfall just beyond, and probably found their way to the Delaware River or somewhere in Philadelphia. But
when I was president, Gary and Dick Ludwig had the canoe across the stream, and they retrieved the ducks, and so they said, oh, Eileen, you're president, do you want to get in the canoe? And I said, oh, sure, that'd be fun. So Gary and I got in the canoe, and we were riding around, and we come back to the edge, and now he blames it on me, I blame it on him, but we both stood up at the same time, and so anyway, the thing tipped over, and I have a picture of it, it's so funny. Well, I had sneakers on. I think I went down to my knee in that icky mud in that McMichaels Creek. And he's yelling at me. And I'm saying, I'm sorry.
Debbie Kulik. The Satellite Club was something that I thought we needed, and working with Karen and Michelle, because there was nowhere for people who worked during the day and could not get away to be able to come to enjoy all of the benefits of Rotary. And the people who came, we originally started with 7 members, and we have about 14 regular members now, although we have many people who come from the lunch club. We're all people who were in different types of fields and not necessarily business people. So it gave an opportunity for those people to contribute and to become part of Rotary, and to learn what Rotary does and to be active in the community. It's an exceptionally diverse group of people. One of the things that we've done, which really has been rewarding for everyone, has been to work on Maddie's Kitchen, which is part of Maddie's Angels. As our portion of the club grows, we will represent the people who have less time to be able to spend doing meetings, but still want to make an impact on our lives in the community.
The club had been giving out certificates to Eagle Scouts for many years. And the person who was chairman of the committee actually just lived down there. He got a new job and left town. And they needed somebody they said, who's willing to be the new chair? And I put my hand up. 25 years later, I was still chair. Represented the club at more than 400 Eagle Scout Courts of Honor. Somewhere between 400 and 500 over the years. And I also sponsored a World Peace Fellowship student, Tilly Sapriina from India, who he applied for a World Peace Fellowship, but no club in India would sponsor him because he was a minority. He was a Naga, and he no Rotary Club in India would sponsor him. So Rotary International came to me and asked if we would sponsor him. So we did, and he got a World Peace Fellowship. Today, he is a delegate to the United Nations for his ethnic group, and he has been very much involved over the years with the problems of his group. And he stops by occasionally. He has visited our Rotary Club a couple times.
I kind of jumped in right away, attending board meetings to figure out where my spot was going to be in the club, because it was pretty big and I didn't really know anyone. So I found my place in working with youth. And the first thing I did was start working with RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards Conference. Found a candidate from our local area to attend the first RYLA that our district was starting to work on, and from there I got involved with the district and RYLA, which is deep for you. Working with RYLA for the past 11 years has been pretty incredible. Because of RYLA, I was able to get an Interact Club started here at Stroudsburg High School, utilizing the first student that we sent to RYLA, and a couple years later, we were able to get a Rotaract Club started at ESU. So those two things I'm very happy and proud about. And then most recently, I have actually started a new club, an E-Club, in the district that has 20 alumni from our youth programs as part of the new club. Said the international aspect of Rotary was important to me, and I was able to travel to Honduras with the help of the club. We donated $5,000 back in the year 2013-14 to Operation Honduras, and that included travel for anybody that wanted to go, and I was the only one that did go. And we were able that year to turn a school that was made up of pallets, wooden pallets, and we made it into a brick and mortar school in the course of a week and a half. And I've traveled back since then several times and have seen that school up and running. We worked with Rotary Partnership for Haiti. We helped to not only build a school one year, we also were involved with the water project the following year, where we've also partnered with our Interact Club on both of those projects. Operation Honduras, where we built a school, and then we've also partnered with them since to supply a washer and dryer for another school that Grace, it's called Grace School, and the school was built in a dump, on the side of a dump. So we provided them with a washer and a dryer so the kids could wash their clothes so that they didn't smell so bad when they were at school. We took part in that. We've done meal packaging back in 2014-15. We partnered again with the Interact Club. We packaged 30,000 meals together. Some stayed here in Monroe County, and others were sent to third world countries. That was a lot of fun. We contributed to a library project in Ghana as part of the Peace Corps several years ago. And then we were also part of a global grant project in Honduras that was over a $40,000 project that we took a small part in to bring water to 150 families in a small community. I think one other that I'll mention real quickly is our working with the veterans on the Valor with the fishing program that we've done. And because of COVID, obviously, we haven't been able to do it for the last 2 years, which is rather sad. But, being able to provide a day out on the creek for the veterans learning how to fly fish has been really, I think it's a great program that our club's been involved with for about 7 years now.
My name is Mark. I'm Mark Bayless with Valor, and I have been grateful for Rotary for a very long time. We give away almost 100,000 meals a year to struggling veterans, and a lot of that is enabled by the Rotary, both through in-kind donations of food, coming and donating their time, talent, and resources to deliver, like in the holiday meals case, to volunteer at the stand downs where the food's being given out. And in other cases, they've come and built the shelves where we had to store the food. So they have been involved at levels you can't put into words. And now do the math of 100,000 meals a year times 7 years. It's really an amazing thing that Rotary has help us accomplish.
And the other committee that I was very instrumental on was the Highway Cleanup Committee, where I was chairman for over 20 years. And we cleaned up the West Main Street area of Stroudsburg.
Roadside pickup, we never knew what we were going to find, and we always had fun doing it.
Because I was tech, I was able to use my vocation to serve, and I brought Stroudsburgs Rotary to the web. I served on the board of every kind of committee. I mean, the one that I gravitated to, and you're going to hear Bob Wahey's name come up again because he did, he had been at that district level. I changed the way everyone looks at Paul Harris Awards and contributions to the foundation. We were not understanding exactly how it worked and what it meant and why we do what we do, and that was a tough one because I took a lot of flack for it. But in the end, when we look at the dollars that have been contributed to foundation since 2000 and whenever I sort of made, that would have been in my presidential years, but if you look at the contributions, it's night and day. Bob got me I started to understand foundation. What it brought me to was the realization that we, through a couple of avenues, through the Rotary Leadership Education, the Institute, went to those classes and very quickly realized that we were leaving money on the table that we could be using, and that is one of what I would say, and that goes to other questions, but that was one of my primary changes. We have not missed a district grant since that first, and the first one was that we got money for was to do backpacks for kids, and we have never missed a local grant since. The most recent one, and we're going to work on it today again, that we still have to close out. We managed to bring a global grant because of COVID, because of changes in the rule. For us to bring a global grant to Stroudsburg is, I'm not going to say it's favorite, but it's in my mind the most impressive because people talked about it, how we always do things everywhere else. We're helping everywhere else in the world, and we should. But because we had the capability, because of what happened in COVID, we were able to bring, a nice $35,000 grant to educate children in the Poconos to help during COVID. Yeah.
During my year as president, I was very proud that we did raise over $50,000 for foundation. We did, I believe, hit our goal of 50 new club banners, although it might not have actually occurred until after the changeover to the new president. And we did get our 50 visitors to district conference that year. Most importantly, I was proud that we did maintain our leadership status in the district in terms of overall membership and giving to Rotary as a whole. And I believe we did it and had a very good time in the process.
And I made up Rotary. I never missed. I had 55 years of perfect attendance. Well, I'm proud about being assistant district governor. I was proud about hosting. I was in charge of hosting. Taking care of all the group study exchange people, and we also housed one of them, or maybe two of them.
Favorite sergeants were the duo team. They were on board, I guess, in my early years, but Alan Young and Ray Starner, it just seemed like they were professional comedians up there or something.
Part of the success is the Sergeant of Arms. Now, I haven't been to that. I've been to a couple of the Rotary clubs, but I don't really, and their Sergeant of Arms don't hold a candle to ours. Ray Starner was one of my first sergeants, and that set the bar pretty high because he's very quick and very funny. And Rich Berkowitz has done and it's having the ability to laugh at oneself, which is basically what that is, and people not getting offended.
Yeah, not take yourself.
I love being Sergeant at Arms. I was very
gonna say,
proud of that.
That was the perfect answer.
What?
That was the answer. One of the answers I was thinking that you should say. 'Cause
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we had a good time with that.
Frank Schultz by far brought more people into the Rotary Club during my years than anyone. It was just like if you joined the chamber, the first thing he did was pull you aside, find out everything about you, have little note cards, so the next time he saw you, he pulled out a note card and had 4 topping points. But that kind of friendship then said, here's what Rotary Club does. You really need to get involved. He did that so many times and really brought some really good members.
Bill Custard was one of my favorites. He was the treasurer when I first became secretary, so we became pretty close. He kept the books for he was treasurer for a very long time, and he sort of walked me through a lot in my early days, and I enjoyed working with Bill.
Hence Watchhorn was the secretary and the Mr. Rotary. He was everything and knew how everything was supposed to work. And I remember Dennis Bell, the president of ESU, who was a Rotarian. And when it came time to work in the kitchen, he was there before anybody and doing everything, doing one of the hardest jobs and really helping out.
Another one is Kirby Upright, because I worked with Kirby for over 25 years on the Rotary Pocono basketball tournament. And there was a lot of work, and Kirby was a very good leader.
Ron Taylor, he worked for MedEd, another great all-around community service leader, funny, sincere. No matter what had to be done, he was in there doing it. The next one on my list is Dr. Gail Fegley. People called him Doc. And for many years, he did a weekly roast of the program presenter.
Which one I like better, La Shui, God bless you, or Joe Castelli? I think we had more fun with La Shui and that repeating that phrase, but Joe Castelli was certainly the outgoing, knee-slapping, everybody loved him kind of guy, and did so much on the district level as well as always staying active on the local club.
Before I became president, Jim Becker. And Jim Becker, to the best of my knowledge, might be perhaps one of the most dedicated and devoted Rotarians on the planet. And he established with the other previous presidents, Jeff and Kirby, a standard of excellence and a commitment to the weekly meeting that was extraordinarily evident in my life. And they trained me to make sure that I was prepared to respect the time of the 100 business leaders that got together every week. And to be honest with you, that training has helped me in my entire professional life to make sure that we understand the importance of preparing for important meetings like that.
Candace McGreevy was another one.
Okay, Rick Mutzler, Jeff Gilbert, Karen DiMatteo, and then let's see, 5. I need 2 more members over the years that have been. I'm gonna say Frank Herding, and I'm gonna say Kirby Upright. And there's more. I mean, there's more.
There are.
I'm leaving people out, and I'm so impressed with that satellite club and the people there.
Yeah.
John Valjean, Stacy, Rodriguez. I mean, it's Zerla. I've been very impressed, to tell you the truth. Zerla. Bartholomew? Is
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew, yeah.
Let's see, what did Rotary do in your personal life and profession? In personal life, it fulfilled that need that I always had to help community, help people less fortunate. The projects we had that raised money were so important, and we gave out $20,000, $30,000 back then a year in gifts, and that was great.
I think of it in terms of today, it was like a master class of leadership.
What I do like to say is that I just look at myself as pretty ordinary, an ordinary person, and through Rotary, I've been able to do some extraordinary things. Travel to India, give polio drops to children.
But most importantly, I would have to say that I met my wife through Rotary, and we'll be married 12 years this year, and she is probably one of the best people I've ever met, and I'm grateful that I met her, and I'm grateful that Rotary provided that venue.
In my personal life and professions, I think the biggest thing Rotary has done is given me service beyond self lessons.
But we've had fun, both at the meeting and when we've done the good things for the community, which makes it like the 4 members that joined today. I hope they realize that they're in a special group and they're going to do those 2 things, have fun and do good community service.
I think one of the things I value the most about Rotary is that it is, and this is, reflecting over the last 30 years I've been a member, which is hard to believe, that we're a global and international organization and have that kind of size and scale. Yet we have local clubs doing hands-on, work in our own local communities. So we can scale up or scale down the community service project to meet any given need at any given time.
Michael Tukiva, and how has Rotary helped United Way? Rotary shows up. Rotary shows up as the boots on the ground, as the helping hands. From our Day of Caring, where volunteers come out and serve local nonprofits, Rotary is always there. They're there to lend a hand, to make contributions, and to serve wherever is needed. They have a servant's heart, and they are always willing to be present.
Because when I was given the Rotarian of the Year, I remember going up because they said, "Do you want to say anything?" And I said, what this really, that I didn't understand. You hear that saying, and I don't think people outside of Rotary may understand it. And in the day, it was, "He profits most who serves the best." And I always had changed it. We changed it in the song because obviously we are a mixed group. It is not just men, so it's not he, so they profit most who serve the best. And I always said that saving. So I'm going to not say 3 words. I'm going to say that phrase because I didn't understand what the profit was. It wasn't financial profit. It was this profit. It was the heart. It was growth. That to me is what really Rotary stands for. But you have to understand it. You have to understand it's not money.
That's good.
A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y, it's known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, a prophet most who serves the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary.